Okay, so I'm going to remake this CMF Headphone Pro video. You saw the first one, it was very negative towards the product and I didn't really give any of the positives. Now, while it being 100% true and 100% honest, there was a lot of things in there that sort of confused a lot of people. And when I watched it back again after seeing these comments, I sort of got confused as well. So I'm going to take my time on this and really go through the headset and why I find it not to have the pro level as it should have. So I was sent out the CMF Headphone Pros. They have no idea I'm making this video. The same again with the first video, they had no idea, they have no input. I thought I'd give it another shot and explain it a bit more and go through everything that could use some upgrades or could do better in the next version or whatever. The first video was just very hate against this product, where I didn't really give it its due. There are features around this that are really well done. So we're going to break it into categories. We're going to go over the build quality, we're going to go over the application, we're going to go over the sound quality, and then obviously negatives and positives. So let's start off with the build quality. Now, while it is all constructed of plastic, and with that headband being so thin, the cushion also being rather thin, but because they are lightweight, they are comfortable. And same with the ear cups. There's not much padding actually in the ear cups, but they are soft, they are memory foam, and because they are lightweight, it doesn't actually give you a lot of pressure when they are put on your head. The outer casing is obviously all plastic, and then you do have your nice tactile buttons. Now, I will say, I didn't mention this in the last video, the tactile buttons is a nice feature, okay? Instead of having these touch features that everyone has now on their headsets that you don't know how many taps to do to stop the music, how many taps to play next track, swiping left and forward to turn it up. Having a tactile button on a physical product really does, that's the bonus for me. I like to know that this wheel here is to turn the volume up and down. This button here changes track, whatever it is. I like that feature, and that definitely was something that I should have mentioned in the first video. They do also swivel in, so when they are on the neck, they are nice and comfy. They do have a bit of pressure pushing in because, you know, the head strap is rather constricted. In testing, I've seen that it did stretch out quite a lot, but I feel like if you did it too much, you're going to start warping that band. Now, I said, you know, why didn't they test it well over? I don't know why they would, because no one has headsets go that way. So I think that was just a thing that I said, which was stupid. I shouldn't really put it in there. But, you know, the sliding mechanism, again, very smooth. I do like to have a tactile click, so I know how many clicks I'm out. Say if I want 4 clicks on the left, 4 clicks on the right, I wouldn't know that on this. I'd just have to sort of wing it and say, right, this side's halfway out, this side's a quarter out. You know what I'm saying? And then the next thing about the build quality is those ear cups. Now, if they do get damaged, you can just swivel them on and off super quick, super easy. That was one of the things that I did mention, but I didn't really go into depth with it. The fact that they've obviously got all the different colors, you can mix and match these. Now, these are the light gray. I called them white because that's what they look like. They've got a dark gray, just looks black. Then they've got a green, which is basically teal. I'm going to stick to that. It's teal, it's not green at all, it's just a blue. And then the cups they've brought out are also the white, the black, the green, and orange. I was hoping to actually get some orange sent my way, so I don't know if they still are or not since that last video. But I do like that feature of how you can take them on, because cups over time do wear away, and it's nice to know that you can just swap them out really quickly. But now actually moving over to the application. This is probably one of the many applications that I really enjoy using because it is super simple and it's very intuitive. You can have noise cancellation on, your transparency on, or you can turn it off completely. Very simple and quick and easy. Okay, I'm pretty sure I kept calling this spatial mode. It's not, it's called spatial mode, my bad. But you've got your on, your cinema, and your concert. 3 settings, very simple. Nothing too crazy. Then obviously the more you go down, the more control you get. Your personal sound, your equalizer, your controls, your lag-free mode, your dual connections, your device settings, and then your about. There's so much on here that you can do. So like when you go on the equalizer, you can actually move the little dots yourself to have more bass, more treble, more mid. But for me, I haven't found the right one, I don't think. I think that's why I'm not really feeling the pro in these just yet. There's still some things that need to be done. And I feel like there's not many equalizers actually put out on this app. You've got obviously your drum and bass and jungle, you've got garage, you've got country. There's so many others that they could probably manipulate and make your own. I get it, you've got custom, so that means that you can do that. You can also download someone else's custom one. For someone that doesn't use headsets as much as, say, us testers out there, they want an app that you can go on and just use straight away. But I feel like this does that. It's just there's some little tweaks that could be done to make it a better experience. But overall, the application is fantastic. I will say CMF and Nothing have done an amazing job on the application. It is just unfortunate for me, the headset doesn't really replicate how their other products out there are. So like I mentioned, you know, the phones that they do, they're 3D printable. You can add accessories, you can do so much. There's a great idea. You've got their watches and their earbuds. They're super cheap and super reliable. And obviously Nothing have the headphone ones. And then CMF is meant to be the actual cheaper brand within nothing, and yet they bring out a headset that starts at £79, which to a lot of people isn't actually cheap. I'm not being funny. A lot of people out there would not say £79 is cheap. But now let's move over to the sound quality, because now while these do give out some nice crisp audio with the mids and the highs and the lows, the bass is not all there, and they have this energy slider that I will still stick to my guns. I will say it does nothing. It doesn't actually give you more bass. A lot of people are saying it does, a lot of people are saying it doesn't. I've heard both sides of the story, you know, some agreeing with me saying it sounds muffled, some are saying, oh, it depends on what genre you listen to. I've gone through everything. I still cannot figure out why it doesn't actually add bass. It just sounds really muffled, and it just sounds sort of muggy and underwaterish. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to stick to that. Now that could just be a software update, who knows? But I think where a lot of people got confused in my last video is when I said the JLabs headsets that are around £20 can do way better audio than these ever will. Now I'm still sticking to that, because the fact that these being £79, while the audio is good, how is it a £20 headset can do better than a budget still friendly headset? So if these were in that price range of the £20 to £30 mark, I would probably say that's more of a reasonable price range for something like this in this category of audio. And also in the last video, I did compare these to IEMs, earbuds, over the head, open back. So I sort of gave it a massive overall sort of estimation of what these should have sounded like. But like CMF said, IEMs are a different ball game. They are made for audio with, you know, every single pinpoint of audio bracket, and these are just overhead earphones on a budget. So it's that thing, yes, while I did compare them to something that's dedicated to audio, surely headsets are also dedicated to audio, whether they're over the ear, open back, IEMs, earbuds, they are all doing the same job, playing your audio. That's what I'm gonna stick with. And I feel like these don't give £79 worth of audio, but they are still good for £79. Don't get me wrong, it's just I don't think they're up to par with what they could possibly do. Now that could be down to, again, software, because you can use the equalizers to go through and change that. So maybe I'm just not getting the equalizer right or whatever, I don't know. Because it is early doors, these have a lot of improving to do. That's what I'm trying to get at, is how they can improve these. I didn't want to be so negative, but unfortunately in the last video I was. And I want to be one of these people that give an honest review and not just be so negative against the product. And I feel like that's what I did in the last video. So I just want to try and, you know, give a full honest opinion with pros and cons. So that's what I find with the audio. And another thing I've noticed as well with Bluetooth on these, the audio is 10 times louder than when they are plugged in with that aux. And as I mentioned in the last video, unfortunately when you're using the aux cable on these, they have to be turned on. And I had issues with the battery. Now they're claiming it's a 100-hour battery life. And in my last video I mentioned they died within 2 days, or less than 2 days, from 9 in the morning to 11 at night. Tried it with ANC off. I've tried it with 50% volume, because apparently that 100-hour battery life is when you're at 50% volume and ANC off. So it's not 100% battery when you're using these fully to their capacity, which I think is very, very tricky how they've advertised this. They should say on their 50-hour battery life, because people are going to use ANC and have it at full volume. And I feel like you're not getting what you're buying. If you're looking at a 100-hour battery life, you're not getting that unless you nerf your own product, if that makes sense. So I think that was another thing that really sort of got to me. The fact that you have to turn these on to use the aux cable, yet every other headset I've had, I've never had to do that. They are looking into why that's a thing, which is good. I like that they're, you know, taking my feedback and actually looking into that. That's a great thing from CMF, and I really do appreciate it, because I think I would use these way more, because they are comfy. And if I could get that equalizer perfect to match sort of how I feel like they should sound, it's just the fact that they had to be turned on, because the only reason these need to be turned on, like I said, for Bluetooth, anti-noise cancellation, or your spatial awareness. Now with the anti-noise cancellation and spatial awareness, some people have praised it, saying it's amazing. Others out there have said completely opposite, and I agree with the completely opposite. It's not at its best. I feel like it is just an update that they need to do, because these are fresh out the box. There's going to be issues, there's going to be bugs, there's going to be things they need to update. So that's why I'm making this video again. I didn't want to be completely negative in the first video. It's just there was so much going on with this headset that I just was so frustrated with it, with the battery dying so quick after testing it. And, you know, the audio files I was using just didn't sound good. The energy slider, which is one of their main features they were selling it at, just didn't work. It doesn't work. There's just so many things that I feel like I was getting so ahead of myself, and I was sort of putting these in a bracket of, you know, these are £200 headphones, they should be good, but yet they're not, they're £79. But even at that price, they should be good, right? And yet there are just so many more negatives in my mind than positives. That's where I feel like a lot of reviewers out there never really give the negatives, because they just want to tell you about the product, give it the specs. But I'm one of these people, if I go to look at a product I want to go buy, I want to know the negatives, because then it lets me know if this is not what I need. Because if the negatives outweigh the positives, or if one of those negatives is something that I need to be positive, it's something that I'll go, okay, I now need to find a product that does what I need it to do. And that's where I feel like I need to remake this video and actually explain it a bit better, tell you about the build quality, tell you about the sound audio, tell you about the app, so you know a little bit more about this, instead of it just being such a negative, a hit on this headphone and company all in one. But there is one last thing I will say, is I'll stick to my guns with this. I don't like the look of these. I do not like the look of these. They look very marshmallowy. I said that I looked like Lucio out of Overwatch, and also the person off of that game, whatever it was. And then there was another one that came into the comments. I appreciate this. If you've ever seen In the Night Garden, this looks like Macapaca. Appreciate that. And my son absolutely loves In the Night Garden, so I'm just going to whack these on and see if he says Macapaca. But anyway, I hope this video has given you a bit more insight to these, and you know, I've done it a bit more professionally. I feel like the first one was very rushed as well, so I didn't really get time to show off some B-roll, get some close-ups, and talk about the product properly. And I will stick to my guns of the first impressions that I got these. You know, the headband could use some work. It could use a bit more padding maybe. It does feel like it's gonna snap. But at the end of the day, these are my opinions. As I always will say, take this with a pinch of salt. You are going to be different. And it's like I said in my last video, the CMF fanboys are probably gonna comment and say, you know, these are the best headsets going. I didn't mean it in a bad way. What I basically meant in my own terms is, you always get fanboys for certain companies. I'm a Sony fanboy. I love using Sony. I don't think I could go to any other camera company, because I know Sony from the back of my hand. So I'm always gonna stick with using Sony. Again, with people that buy Nike shoes, I buy DC. I will stick by DC because they're the companies that I've found for myself. People buy Apple every year, but then complain about the Apple the next year because it's the different, you know, that's what I was getting at. So CMF people are gonna stick with this brand because they've used them from day one and love them. That's all I meant by it. So I understand if someone's not going to agree with what I'm saying about the product, but this is from my own personal, honest review. That's what I think of this product, and I feel like they've got so much potential. One, the look though needs to change. I like the look of the Nothing ones, the squares. CMF, I feel like you've gone a bit too safe, if you will, and they just look very. I feel like they look very feminine in a sense, and I know people are going to say, oh well, you can't say that looks feminine, it's 2025, but I will, and I did. There you go, there's a bit of me, and hopefully I've gave these a bit more justice than they deserve. If they find a way of making it so I can use the aux cable without having to turn them on, maybe I'll give them another shot. But until they do fix that, I will be going back to the sound cores. And I also compared them to these. Now these are about 150, where these are 79, so you can't really put them in the same boat, but they do sound better. So that's why these do just sit right there. But anyway, other than that, I appreciate everyone that has commented on the first video and will jump on this one probably and hate me too, but that's the life of being a reviewer. I appreciate it. But either way, if you enjoyed this video or not enjoyed this video, leave a like, because that's what we're here for, okay? We're here to support each other, and I'm here to give you an honest review, and I hopefully have done that this time. But anyway, much love, capture, create, captivate, and I'll see you all in the next video.